think I've seen you before. Wearing trousers. You're wearing trousers. I'm wearing a skirt today. Oh, I didn't know, but he said that.
Come around this way.
That's got to be
We need to get in the room before
I've only been there 3 weeks.
So it could be 350 quid in England.
These are safe. These are safe. That have smaller chairs. No, these are safe.
Colleen studied and boarded at that school during term time from 1956 to 1960. I didn't recognise you I'm fine.
You coming back? Your teacher?
ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have you here today. I'm Colleen Daniels, and I'm organising this Holocaust Memorial event is because every year we read about publicity in papers about hearing people running their own Holocaust memorial events, and they light the candles, but there's never anything for Jewish deaf people. And so for that reason, I wanted to establish the first Jewish Deaf Holocaust Memorial Day. And I hope that I hope to have it published in lots of newspapers. It's always been my dream for the Jewish deaf survivors to be able to tell us about their experiences of their survivals during the World War, and for them to light the candles that we have on the table today. I would like the committee to come and join me to give a very short signed poem with Peter Abraham.
I'd like to go away alone. 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 On my own. Just me. On my own. Where there are other, nicer people. Somewhere in the far unknown. There, where no one kills each other. Maybe more of us, 1,000 strong, will reach this goal before too long.
Hello. I'd like to welcome Anne Central to the stage. Hello everybody. I was born in Berlin, in Germany, on April the 2nd, 1929. I don't know how I became deaf, but I do remember hearing the sounds of the old boiler, but then somehow my hearing disappeared and I became deaf. I have two brothers. One brother is in the hall today, and that's Horst Marschner. I had another brother who was hearing, who died along with my mother in a concentration camp in Lodz. I don't know if I can carry on, I'm sorry, I'm getting too emotional. I'm sorry, I'm too emotional. Can I do my piece later? No, it's all right, I'll carry on. When we had the open day at school, at Hanukkah, it was a very special speech day. And in the assembly hall, there were 3 tables, and all the parents and their children had brought the presents for their children. My mother was very poor. She was a divorcee. The headmaster came, and I called the headmaster Uncle Felix. As I say, Uncle Felix was the headmaster, and he came to the centre of the stage and gave a speech and talked about the school, and everybody applauded him. And then all of a sudden, 4, maybe 6 German soldiers marched into the room, and they went to the front of the stage and arrested the headmaster, Uncle Felix, and took him out. And then the open day closed. I don't know how long he was away from school for, but he returned after a period of being in prison and came to get 10 deaf children from the school and took them to the railway station in Berlin. I saw my mum running after me, and she said to me that she would see me in 2 weeks' time, and she gave me a beautiful Jewish necklace. All the children were huddled together on the train, and we all carried our own little packs where we had our combs, toothbrush and personal items. We were all very close together. We all had to sit and stay in a group. And when we arrived at Liverpool, the teacher, Mr. Benham, came and gave us all a cuddle, and he took us back to the Jewish school, the Jewish residential school. They took my necklace away from me, and the children went to bed early, even though it was a glorious day outside, and we were looking from the window and could see lots of people in the gardens of the school, and we were annoyed that we'd been sent to bed early. The next morning at breakfast, oh, it was horrible. It was white bread, and I'd never seen white bread before because we always ate black bread in Germany. I came to realise that what my mother had said about seeing me again in 2 weeks' time didn't happen. I also never got my necklace back. I'll do this bit later. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Ruth Foreman. I was born in Schlochau in Germany, which became part of Poland after the war. I lived with my parents and my older brother, Kurt. When I was 3 years old, I started at the Israelite School for the Deaf in Berlin. Just before my 4th birthday, I was taken away from my family and evacuated to England with Dr. Reich, our headmaster. There was a group of 10 children, aged from 3 to 12. 9 of us were deaf, and there was 1 hearing girl. It took us 2 days to reach England by ship. We landed at Harwich and were taken to the residential school for Jewish deaf children in London. When we arrived at the school, we were taken straight to bed. I was put into a cot because I was one of the youngest children. None of us were given any food to eat that evening. During that time, I always thought of my grandmother and brother more than my parents. My parents sent me photos of the family, and I slept in a dormitory with boys and girls. My parents and I were only allowed to write to each other via the Red Cross every 6 months, and our messages were limited to 24 words. I was not aware of what was happening with Jewish people in Germany. My brother and grandmother returned to Germany to search for relatives. But unfortunately, the Nazis caught them in Berlin, and we never saw them again.
I'd now like to ask Alan Daniels to come up to the stage to speak on behalf of Benno Isakson, who's speaking. He was born in Leipzig on the 27th of February 1936. 1 month before my 3rd birthday, my parents sent me to the Israelite Institute for Jewish Deaf School in Berlin in January 1939, because in Leipzig there was no Jewish deaf school. On the 19th of July 1939, the headmaster, Dr. Felix Reich, took 10 Jewish deaf children, including Ruth Foreman, Leslie Bieber, and myself, and a hearing girl who was called Gudala Khan. And we all came to England from Germany. I was brought up in the residential school for Jewish deaf children, which was in Nightingale Lane in London. And I was there for many years. From the age of 3, I stayed with my father's brother and his wife, who was my auntie and uncle, with their daughter, my cousin, and I stayed there until I was 18 years of age. My auntie didn't want me to stay in Hendon, so she sent me to a farm in Thacket, which is in the north of England. And I stayed there for 4 years to learn about farming. And then I got on a ship to France, and then I caught a train to Paris, and then onwards to Naples, where I stayed for 1 night for the Sabbath. The next day I boarded a ship called the Jerusalem to Haifa, which is where I met my first wife. Some years later I got married again, and I now live I lived in Israel for 52 years.
At this point, the next person is going to be Henrietta Scardino, who's in America. Now, Colin Daniels has received a letter 2 months before Henrietta died. So I want to introduce Esther, because she saw Henrietta when she was in America. So now Esther Hello everybody, nice to see you all. Connie gave me a letter, and I went to America, and I asked my brother who's here, I've got another brother here actually, I asked them, my brother Joshua. So he took me to New York to visit her. I went to New York to visit her. And there were some nuns there. So we asked them, where's Henrietta? And then they said over there. So we waited. And then we were thinking she would come, her friend would come and bring her, but we were going, no, we wanted to see Henrietta. So we waited, and then she came, and she was kind of, she told us about Henrietta, and we were saying, where is she? And they said, come, we'll show her, we'll show you where she is. And she was very ill, she was quite confused, she had cancer, and we explained it to her that, you know, we wanted to know about the old school, different kind of things, and she was having difficulty remembering everything, so we thought we'd leave it. And then a nice woman came. And she asked me where I was from, and we were trying to communicate, we were trying to find out Henrietta's story, but it was quite an uncomfortable time, and you could see that Henrietta was uncomfortable, so we went off, and we said thank you for everything, but we had enough information to photocopy, and she gave us photographs, and we had that information. And Eileen Fisher, she told me, you're very lucky you caught her. You're very lucky you caught her because she died 5 o'clock in the morning. And Eileen had been an old school friend of hers, so she was able to help me with this information. So, thank God I caught her, and then I was able to come here and present you with this information. Now, Henrietta was born on April the 18th, 1932, in Saarbrücken, in Germany. At the age of 5, she went with a group of 10 children to London because the school was destroyed by bombing during the Holocaust. Her father met up with Henrietta in London, and he was able to get to London with help from the Red Cross, and she was delighted to be reunited with him. Her mother and deaf brother were left behind. They don't know exactly where in Germany, but presumably it was Germany, but she was later told they had died, but no real explanation was given. And her father later married a Polish woman, and her name was Pearl. And they had a son, Aaron. So he was Henrietta's half-brother. Now, Henrietta herself emigrated to America, and it was there that she met her husband, who was named Anthony Scardino, and she met him in 1957, and then he passed away in October 1976. Now, after his death, later in her life, Henrietta had a partner, and his name was Harry LaCain, and she was with Harry for over 30 years. Unfortunately, after a long illness, Henrietta passed away on the 28th of September 2010, and her age at that time was 78. Thank you very much.
We're very sorry to say that one person, i.e. Leslie Bieber, hasn't arrived yet. Oh, how wonderful. I didn't see that you had arrived. I'm so glad to see you here. Leslie, could you come up onto the stage with Anne Central? Oh, I'm thrilled to pieces. Oh, but that's going to be followed by a story from Anne, who doesn't remember more about Leslie when he was a child. So Anne's going to say some stuff on behalf of Leslie. So we're delighted to welcome them both up onto the stage. This is Leslie Bieber, also known as Lothar. I remember Leslie from the garden fete at school, there were lots of parents around, and there were lots of children with their parents, and they were all saying, "Oh, what a beautiful boy this is, what a beautiful boy." And they were talking about Leslie because he had lovely blonde curls. And I'll never forget your father, Leslie. He was wearing like golf trousers and braces and smoking a pipe with a golfing hat. It was beautiful. And he was deaf and he was signing. And your mother. And your mother was so beautiful. She had a big fancy hat on and beautiful clothes. And she gave all the children sweets. And you, Leslie, was such a beautiful baby boy with lovely blonde curls. I don't know whatever happened to them. I'll never forget you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Anne. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Klaus Martin Kornick. He couldn't come here. As was stated earlier, he's had an operation on his knee and he sends his apologies. In 1929, Klaus started at a first school as a kindergarten school in Germany, and later he moved to his first primary school up until 1934. Unfortunately, he was forced out of this school under the Nazis' laws, which prohibited any Jewish children from attending schools. Klaus himself did not really know anything about religion. He just knew that he and his parents were of Jewish origin. He attended the Israelite Geschlossen School, which means the Israelite School for the Deaf, in Berlin. And he was in Berlin, in that school in Germany, with Henrietta Sontag for 4 years. And Dr. Felix Reich, who was his fourth teacher, he was the headmaster. He himself was arrested in the school and deported to a concentration camp for a few weeks in 1938. He was there for a few weeks only. In January 1939, he left the school and he immigrated with his mother to England, leaving his father behind in Germany. He was at the Jewish school, which was based at 101 Nightingale Lane, for only 6 months before he was evacuated to Brighton, where he stayed for 11 months, and then was re-evacuated to Havering House for the next 18 months. In 1941, his father boarded an Italian cruise liner ship in order to escape to Shanghai in China. Klaus is now a widower after 50 and a half years of marriage, and he now lives in Gloucestershire. Thank you very much.
Klaus Silbermann was born in Berlin. He attended the Jewish Deaf School in Berlin. At the beginning of 1939, the useless Jews, the special school's pupils, were one of the first targets to be arrested. Klaus was very, very fortunate because he was one of 10 deaf children who were smuggled into Holland by the teacher in the school. After arriving in Holland, he made his way to London, and then he was evacuated to Wiltshire, where he settled. Later on in life, he was transferred by a national organisation to the school of the deaf and dumb at Hennessy House, which was a Hennessy House in Manchester. 50 years later, he made a decision that he wanted to go to synagogue on one Shabbat morning. And a security officer, noting that he wasn't a regular member of the synagogue, asked him what he was doing there. And he said that he wanted to go in to the synagogue, but because he used sign language, the communication issues were difficult. There was a breakdown in communication. He wanted to pray for his parents who had died in Auschwitz, in the concentration camps. He was given a talit and a kippah by Reverend Brody of the synagogue. And he only attended there for 3 months before he died. Which was after only 3 months after.
Now I'd like to welcome myself on behalf of Dr. Felix Reich. I'm going to tell his story. On July 11, 1939, 10 children, under the supervision of Dr. Felix Reich, who was himself the headmaster of the Israelite School for the Deaf, he crossed into Holland by train, then after that crossed into England by boat. On the 19th of July, the 10 children and Dr. Felix arrived at the Jewish School for the Deaf after a very difficult journey. These 10 children were the last children to escape the Berlin school before the outbreak of the Second World War. 3 other children from the school had earlier made the journey successfully and were already in the school. So they were safe. Unfortunately, the rest of the children and the staff of the Berlin school were all killed in the concentration camps after the Nazis shut down the school for good in 1942. Thank you. And thank myself. Okay, now I'd like to welcome Colleen Daniels back onto the stage.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Ben Foreman, the grandson of the late Gudula Khan. He's hearing, and of the 10, and she was one of the 10 children who got out of Germany from the school. So welcome to Ben.
It's a real honour for me to be able to be here today and speak to you. And that Colleen invited me here is really, can't say thank you enough. It's a real honour for me to be here and to be able to speak to you guys and people who were on the train with my grandmother. And I'll tell you a little bit about her story and her parents, and then maybe I can make it a bit more of a happy ending as well. So, my name's Ben. I'm the grandson of Gudula Khan, who was the hearing girl on the train. And she was the daughter of Philip Khan and Sophie Khan. My grandmother was sent from Germany in 1939, and she never spoke about anything to do with her past until she was older in the mid-1990s. And what happened is that some German researchers wanted to do an exhibition about the school, and they sent a historian, and they tracked down my grandmother, and I think Ruth as well, and some other people were involved. And the historian came and stayed close to my grandmother and spoke with her in German a lot, and got letters as well that she'd had from her parents that she'd kept hidden for a very long time. And that was how we started to learn about this amazing school. And I have to say, I didn't really realise how amazing it was until I saw everybody here today and saw you guys down there. So my great-grandfather was called Philip Khan, and after Felix Reich left the school and came to England, my great-grandfather became the headmaster of the school. My great-grandfather was born in Cologne, and he served in the German army in World War I. And following the war, he gained a teaching certificate to teach religious studies. And he moved to Berlin and trained to be a teacher of the deaf at the school in Berlin. And there he met his future wife, Sophie Sawadi. She'd been born in Poland, and she'd come to Germany with her family. Her brother and his wife were also teachers at the school. And so that's where she and my great-grandfather met. There's some dates here I got from an article about the school. It was started in 1873 by Marcus Reich, and he had 4 students. By 1884, 24 pupils had been through the school, half of them had jobs, and he started a society called the Society of Friends for the Deaf and Dumb, and collected contributions which funded the school. In 1889, the society bought the land at Parkstrasse, and that's where the school was built, where these young people here went to school. By 1919, there were 7,000 members of the Friendly Society, and they were represented all over Germany, and they were funding the school. In 1924, one member of the school, former member, named Vladislav Zeitlin, was involved in helping the invention of television in Germany. In 1934, the school had its 50th birthday. And then in 1939, the Society for the Friends of the Deaf and Dumb was liquidated. Now, you guys said that you came in July 1939, but I thought it was June, but I don't know, maybe my translation's wrong, but I've said here on this date that 11 children and Felix Reich escaped on the Kindertransport from Germany. And in 1942, the school was shut down, and the teaching of Jewish children was outlawed. I'm going to read an excerpt from 2 letters. I'm going to try anyway. And this is from the 20th of June, 1939. Beloved child, it is 1:45. Your train is approaching Bentham. We are hoping you've recovered from the hurly-burly at the station. Yeah. Our thoughts are constantly with you. We are accompanying you. It's quiet here, even the little bird is quite silent. Mummy has just talked to it. When you receive this card, you will already know your new home a little bit, and you will already have slept there one night. We hope you had a good journey. We will be glad for any message from you. Please give your identity card to Mr. Winter. I'll send the dictionary by the same mail. This afternoon I have to go to work again. Mummy is whistling for lunch without you, but in thoughts with you. Mummy would very much and naturally like to write to you. Dear Gadula, for today, all the best from your loving father. Give our best regards to the Winters. This is an excerpt from another letter. The letters were written nearly every day for the first couple of years, and then they became cards after that, and then they stopped. 29th of June 1939. It's Thursday afternoon. Mummy has gone out to Mrs. Nast's. I'm alone and want to talk to you, my darling. You're in another country and among people who in some ways have other customs, habits, and a lifestyle which seems strange to us. It's natural that you notice that. You understand me, don't you? I'm pleased that you actually have a similar opinion to my own. However, despite that, one has to abstain from judgment. It's best to do so. What other people do is their concern. You have to adapt, but there are limits to everything. You don't need to compromise yourself. That's why I understand very well that you were outraged at the girl of your age who spoke to you like that. If the people there behave in such a manner, one must accept it. They were brought up in this way, and perhaps don't know any other way. It was really good that you contained yourself. The main thing is to remain yourself. As I always told you here at home, you are Gadula and will remain Gadula, so that always we will recognise you. So, in 1933, Georg and Martha Sawadi, Georg and Martha Sawadi, left Berlin, and they took their sons to Palestine. And in Tel Aviv, they established a school for children with special needs. In 1993, an exhibition about the school was held in Berlin. And in 2009, one of the historians involved in that exhibition contacted me, and she arranged to have memorial stones for my great-grandparents put outside the home where they lived before being taken by the Nazis. Monica, the historian, paid for one of the stones, and the Faculty for Teacher Training at Berlin University funded the memorial for the second stone. And those are the stones. And on the day that the stones were put down, 2 students and 2 faculty members from Berlin University Teacher Training Department came and read a eulogy for the school and for my great-grandparents. And they told us that some of the methods of teaching at the school are still used in Germany today. And they talked about what an amazing institution the school was. And this is a photograph of the memorial that's now outside the school building. I don't speak German, but I think that it says from 1890 until 1942, the Jewish School for the Deaf in Berlin Weissensee was here. Jewish children lived here until 1942, when they were taken away by National Socialists. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, my name is Maria Economou, and I have been signing this story with Rachel Holder. She signed it to me, and now I'm going to tell you the story. Okay, this has been written by Ruth Morris, who is a JDA member and lives in America. Ruth Morris has been Rachel Holder's close friend since 1946. She emigrated to Los Angeles, California in 1963 with her husband. And his name is Percy, and they have 2 sons, Aaron and Jacob. So here is Rachel's story. In 1946, 50 Jewish deaf children, including me and my sister Jessica, who was 5 years old at the time, went to the residential school for Jewish deaf children at Nightingale Lane in Balham. We had been at Havering House in Marlborough. World War II had been over since 1945. The staff were usually busy, so my favourite matron, who was also a teacher, Miss Ballinson, often picked on me to deal with any new pupil. And this meant that I could guide them around the rooms, sit with them at the dining table, and to accompany them to the doctor or to the cinema. In 1946, when I was 10 years old, 2 Jewish deaf pupils came to our school. The matron, Miss Ballinson, assigned them to me for me to be their guide. One of the new pupils was Ruth Lawrence, and she was 12, and she came from London. And she looked like the film star, Maureen O'Hara. The other pupil was Rachel Holder, who was at that time Rachel Lubin, L-U-B-I-N. And she came from Poland, and she was 12 years old. Rachel had Usher syndrome, and her sight was deteriorating. It was hard for her to see when the light was dim. She would hold my right hand tight and stare straight forward. I had an instant desire to feel responsible for her. I waved over to my childhood friend, Loretta, and asked her to take Ruth Lawrence on a tour of the school. I noticed that in Rachel Holder's right hand, she was holding a red apple with small pieces bitten out of it. But she would not take any bites in front of me. In the dining room, Rachel would hold her plate tight. This might have been to make sure no other students touched her food. She would grab handfuls of food. I calmed her down just by touching her hand, and I gave her some cutlery, but she was a bit distrustful. In the girls' dorms, we all had separate beds. But Rachel awoke in the night screaming and jumped into my bed. I had to hold her tight until she would fall asleep. 1 week following, whole bundles of textbooks were brought to our classroom, and the covers showed pictures of concentration camp Jews looking starved, wearing their striped uniforms. These were printed for the schools, churches, and synagogues. After her first week of stay, she suddenly disappeared. I looked for her and asked the matron, Miss Ballinson, with concern, "Where is she?" But she assured me that she was all right in the isolation room. The isolation room was for ill pupils. We both went to see Rachel in the isolation room. It smelled so strong of Dettol. Rachel had lovely long hair. Mrs. Ballinson, or Miss Ballinson, kept combing her hair to get rid of the lice. Rachel could not understand signed English. I tried to communicate with her by using body language. I kissed my hand and touched the walls. I was trying to assure her that she was safe now. She was in school. All of a sudden, we hugged very hard. The next day, a miracle happened. Rachel's parents and sister showed up at the school. Then Rachel left school with them. Rachel never talked about what happened to her. All she said is that she hid with her family in Russia. When we visited her in London in the 1990s, she gave me a copy of a Jewish newspaper. There was a picture of her with her sister with a group from the war who were all rescued by Rabbi Solomon Schonfeld of London. What happened afterwards was Rachel married Isaac Holder, and they had 3 children. And the children's names were Hannah, Esther, and Chaim. She now has 15 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. She lives in Golders Green and is an active member of the JDA. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to ask the committee to join us on the stage for another signed poem, along with Peter Abraham.
For 7 years, I've lived in here, penned up inside this ghetto. But I have found what I love here. That butterfly, such a yellow, is carried lightly way up high. I am proud of my people. How dignified they are. Even though I am suppressed, I will always come back to life, like the butterfly.
let you know that unfortunately, Rabbi Laura Jana Klausner is unable to join us today. She says that she's really sorry, but she's had to contact somebody, but we welcome Rabbi Lisa Barrett, who will be, and she's going to say a quick service before she lights the candle. No, I'm not. We're going to do the candles first. We're going to light the candle first, and then we're going to have a blessing. I want to say thank you to Uncle Felix for saving all us children, especially the three of us from England, so thank you to Uncle Felix.
My heroes. Yes, it's my heroes. Good joke. I need a new one, but I don't think they help me that I've given up. But yeah, famous lady. Something else. Got another note. Part where that I'm proper. When you go there, you don't even say something.
This afternoon, we have heard personal stories of loss and destruction, of friends and family who perished at the hands of hate and indifference. And we have celebrated stories of personal courage and survival, where the bravery of a few saved many lives, together with all the countless generations that came after them. The Talmud teaches that whoever saves one life saves an entire world. On this Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, may we all have the courage to stand up against discrimination in our own lives and in this troubled world. May we all be strengthened by the memory of our people who are no more, and inspired to live meaningful lives that celebrate, enjoy the gift of life. We remember our 6 million dead who died when violence ruled the world and evil dwelt on earth. We remember those we knew and those whose very name is lost. We mourn for all that died with them, their goodness and their wisdom, which could have saved the world and healed so many wounds. We mourn for the genius and the wit that died, the learning and the laughter that were lost. The world has become a poorer place, and our hearts become cold as we think of the splendour that might have been. We stand in gratitude for their example of decency and goodness. They are like candles which shine out from the darkness of those years. And in their light, we know what goodness is. We salute those men and women who were not Jews, who had the courage to stand outside the mob and suffer with us. They too are God's witnesses, a source of hope when we despair. May such times never come again, and may their sacrifice not be in vain. In our daily fight against cruelty and prejudice, against tyranny and persecution, their memory gives us strength and leads us on. We remember all those who sanctified your name on earth. I will now recite the opening of the El Malei Rachamim prayer in Hebrew, and then I will read it in English. And it's going to be on the slide. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamse Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina. God, full of compassion,
whose presence is over us. May the souls of our 6 million dead who have gone to their everlasting home with the holy and pure on high, who shine as the lights of heaven, find the safety and rest denied them on earth beneath the shelter of your presence. Source of mercy, cover them in the shelter of your wings forever, and bind their souls into the gathering of life. It is God who is their heritage. May they be at rest in their place of peace. Amen. For those who are able, we rise to join together in the recitation of the Kaddish prayer. We join together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma dibrach lirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol bet Yisrael, v'adala v'zman kari v'meru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach li'olam olam me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha v'richu la'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata de'amiran be'alma v'meru, Amen. Yehei shalom Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol ha'olam v'imru, Amen. Let us magnify and let us sanctify in this world the great name of God, whose will created it. May God's reign come in your lifetime and in your days and in the lifetime of the family of Israel. Quickly and speedily may it come. Amen. May the greatness of God's being be blessed from eternity to eternity. Let us bless and let us extol. Let us tell aloud and let us raise aloft. Let us set on high and let us honor. Let us exalt and let us praise the Holy One, whose name is blessed, who is far beyond any blessing or song, any honor or any consolation that can be spoken of in this world. Amen. May great peace from heaven and the gift of life be granted to us and to all the family of Israel. Amen. May the maker of peace in the highest bring this peace upon us, upon all Israel, and upon all the world. And let us say, Amen. Amen.
I would like to say such a big thank you to Rabbi Lisa Barrett for that lovely service, and to the people lighting the candles and who made my dream become a reality. Thank you so much. Thank you for the service.
On behalf of the Jewish Deaf Association, I'd like to say a big thank you to Colleen. Come out, Colleen. And I'd like everybody to give her a big clap for arranging this very, very special, very memorable event for the deaf community. Around the country today, there are hundreds of Holocaust memorial services going on in the Jewish community. There are none that are accessible to the deaf community. This is the one. This is the one that was made possible by Colleen and by everybody who took part in this event today, everybody who showed such courage and strength to come up here and share their stories. And I want to thank each and every one of them for taking part today, and all of you for being here, and also playing your part in this remembrance that is so important. That's all. Thank you, everybody. And now it's time to have supper.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank Sue and her committee for organising this afternoon. It was all so meaningful, and we were very touched by all the survivors and the people that spoke. It was a very special afternoon, which I shall always remember. Thank you for organising it, and I hope that you will always find friendship and security in the Jewish Deaf Association. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and thank you again for all that you have given.
Pages 3 are on. Pages 3. Silver tub. It's vegetarian. Right, like that all take. Not this like. Is that no?
Double check.
Right. Do you know which page it's on? It's like the middle one.
Yes, it deserves probably.
Yeah. Right. It's actually the middle one has a slide, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you. Chicken. Yes, coming.
Sorry. Oh, take the glasses off. Well, I'll find out. When
Got hair on you again.
My speech is quite correct, so I don't know if she's correct. He does.
Oh, no, yeah, hang on. I used to go to a really liberal show in South Island, difficult as well, and in the front were two deaf people.
It was
a little bit deaf.
I think I mean, I managed, but well.
They definitely
No.
Colleen, can I speak to you 1 minute?
Oh, now I can, yeah, it's facts. I've got to be back. Go to B&Q.
No, my table is not.
You can buy the oblong ones we've got.
Yes, I think mine so many of my
You can buy oblong umbrellas.
really recognise my table, but they all seem to know me.
Yes, it's wonderful to see these children grown up and enjoying this occasion. I have to say, some of these children don't remember me, but I remember them. And I think because I've changed, and they haven't changed quite so much, but they are so friendly and I really love them.
I took him out for me last night.
Is that enough?
He said before.
Shall I say it out loud? I'm just curious. Normal beer. Married.
Yeah, it's
I think my table must be on now. So the umbrella 4 or 5 years old, so maybe the tables are oblongish.
Till it closed.
It's not oblong throughout, it's...
That was like 6 years. A week and 3, whatever.
She's asking what's got no sugar.
Did I enjoy myself? Yes.
That's Melody. Very moving.
Thank you.
Now we have cake.
Okay, have your attention please. I'm sorry we're running a bit late on schedule. I'm going to do a presentation about the RSJDC. I hope you've all enjoyed the meal. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank my committee for their support and their hard work that they've given over the past year in order to make this event a very successful, the successful event that it is. I'd like to thank my husband, Alan. Alan, over there, my husband. And I'd like to thank Irene and the Soskies. I'd like to thank Anne Hart, Esther Abraham. Where are you, Esther? Big thank you to you. Over there. And Linda Smith. thank you to Jackie Ash. Where's Jackie? Where's Jackie gone? Ah, over there. Jackie Ash. The caterer right at the back. Thank you, Jackie. And Susie Andrews as well. For the lovely food. I'd like to thank you both. The food was delicious. I'd like to thank the JDA for their great support, financial sponsorship, and for that we thank Sue Sippin. Sue, are you around? She's hiding in the corner. And Anne Clement's also in the corner, thank you. And Judy is right at the back of the room as well. I'd like to thank the interpreters, the deafblind support workers that are around the table, thank you. And Gillian for the filming and photography. Well done. You may have noticed the colour on the serviettes. You've got the brown, and that was the colours of the school blazers. Brown was the colour of the school blazer. The yellow flowers and tablecloth represent the logo of the RSJDC. I would like to welcome Anne Miller. And Aloy Flaneshki, who are ex-pupils of the RSJDC, who've come all the way from Canada. Oh. And Joshua, and Horst from Germany. Where's Horst? Yeah, Horst from Germany. Thank you for coming. Unfortunately, two of the teachers have gone home now because they live a long way away. That's Norma Ledman, formerly known as Miss Sampson, who was one of the teachers there, and Mrs. Liz Weinecker. So they unfortunately had to go, but they enjoyed seeing you all. I would also like to now ask Irene to come forward and say a few words on behalf of Leon Lebor.
You know who this person is in the picture. His name was Leon Lebor. He was one of the ex-pupils of the Jewish Deaf School. He was killed when terrorists attacked the World Trade Centers in New York. That was the 11th of September 2001 attacks. And I will explain, I will tell you the story about him a little later. I would like all of us, please, to stand up now. We're going to have 1 minute silence in memory of Leon and all the people who can't be here today. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'd like to show the DVD, please. This is photos from Leon Libor in memory of him. It's the memorial plaque that we took photos. Okay, that's in the centre of London, that memorial, in Grosvenor Square. That's just opposite the American Embassy. It's just opposite. They have the names of all the British people who were killed. I think there were over 114 names on them of British people who were killed. So you can visit that anytime yourself and go and have a look in that little garden of remembrance there. This is the story of Leon, okay? There was an article in the Jerusalem Post, and that was reported on November the 6th, that Leon Libor, this was in November the 6th, 2001, and his age was about 51 at that time, and that he was buried in a cemetery in Jerusalem called Har Hamenhot. Leon himself was born in London, and he attended the Jewish Deaf School. That's the school that he went to for his education. And then he trained to become a furrier, before moving to the United States in 1970. His mother and father had immigrated to Israel in 1971. Now Leon, who had become a florist, decided to follow his parents and go to Israel. And he worked as a flower arranger in 1980. And he arranged flowers in the prestigious King David Hotel in Jerusalem. But there were problems for him because he found it very difficult to learn and understand the Hebrew language. It was a new language for him. And so for this reason, he decided to return to America, and he was working as a maintenance worker at the World Trade Center when the planes crashed into it on September the 11th. Leon's parents, Philip and Bessie Libor, they lived in Jerusalem, with his sister also living in Jerusalem, whose name was, or is, Rena Kaufman. Leon has one brother, whose name is David, and he's a lawyer, and he works in America, in Philadelphia. Now, following the World Trade Center, because of the destruction, they had given up hope of finding his body, so they sat shiver without his body for 3 weeks. And then the police, the American police, informed Leon's brother David that his body had been found. And they managed to identify his body through DNA and his fingerprints. So the body was taken to Israel for burial. Leon's father said, the pain is still there and it will be for a long, long time. But he said he had consolation that they were able to bring him to Israel. Rather than a pile of ashes somewhere, they were able to take his body to the Jewish homeland.
Nick Abrosia was an ex-pupil of the RSJDC. And and he'd always wanted to set up the reunion. That had always been an ambition of his, because he wanted the old school friends to get together and to meet up and catch up with each other so that they could have memories and live the old times again. And that was his dream. It was his dream throughout his life to arrange a reunion meal. And he set the first one up in 1992 at the Seymour Palace Hall. Mika passed away on April the 30th, 1998, after a long illness. He's now at rest in peace, and he's not here, unfortunately, to see the second reunion this year. But in memory of the late Mika Brozier, known as Michael Howard Brozier, he was born on February the 14th, 1945, and died on April the 30th, 1998, at the age of 53. So this is in memory of Mika. Now, I'd like to call upon the 1992 committee and ask them to come on stage. First of all, Elaine Cohen, please. Hanscom. Maya Solomon. Yes, if you can come up together. Harold Foreman. Harold Foreman. And Ruth Foreman as well. And they were a wonderful committee. They worked very hard fundraising for 18 months. They did so well. I'm really proud of this committee. So could you just say your names? I'm Anne Hart. And what did you do, Anne?
Don't laugh.
Don't laugh? I was a crack treasurer. And what's your name? What did you do? I can't remember what I did. You did. Right. I had a garden fete in my house with 55 people. Worked very hard on that to fundraise. And yeah, I did well. And you also did the catering, didn't you? Well, I didn't do that. My brother did it, but I didn't arrange it. Well, no, you did arrange it.
Okay.
And what's your name? And tell us what you did. Tell us what you did. You were in charge of the transport, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. That's what I did. Thank you very much.
And you are?
I'm Elaine Cohen. And Joan and me. Okay, Joan and me. We were getting all newspaper cuttings and anything to do with the RSJD. We were getting all the history and all the memories about that.
And I'm Lydia Hanscom. And I went through the phone books looking for teachers, and eventually I found, everybody was really amazed, but I found a teacher from Hungary and brought them in. It was wonderful. Few years later they died, but we were very fortunate to be able to bring that person to the event. But it took a lot of work trying to find that person.
Okay, it's a little bit difficult. Okay, his name is Myers Solomon. And he's a brilliant photographer. He took loads of photographs and he collected all photographs of old pupils. Do you remember doing that, Maya? Yeah, I did all the photographs.
And I'm Alan Daniels, and I was the bank manager, and I'm waiting for your investments. I'm Ruth. Previous to being married, I was Ruth Danziger. Now I'm Ruth Foreman. And I did the catering, and I helped out with the catering, that kind of stuff. I kind of can't remember very much, but...
My name is Harold Foreman, and I help the committee with setting up all the candles and the placements and to make it all lovely to look at. And just setting up really all the placements and stuff, just to make it run smoothly. I don't know if you remember all that. And all the coachings, you set it up for the driver to go to Havering House, you set up all that, yeah, and I would let people know and give them the information. And Lydia helped as well, and we helped to make it cheaper travel. But the coach broke down, we had to get the AA person to come. And then they brought another coach from Pusey, and then we picked us up and we went to Bath, and it was a bit of a round trip, and then we finished, we went home and we were late. It was about 11:30, I think, wasn't it? And that's what I was involved with. Thank you.
I'm Joan Weinberg, and I was doing a lot of the administration and some of the book, getting the records, the historical records together for the RSJDC. There was lots of information that I looked through, and with Lydia, we went looking at things, went to lots of places. I remember once we went to Southampton, went as far as Southampton, looking for files, collecting all the information, and then publishing it. Yes, I'd like to thank everybody for coming up to the stage. Haven't been done for the last 19 years, so you know, you can see they all look exactly the same as they do on the original photograph. Well done to everybody. I'm really proud of this committee, and I would like to remind you that, you know, we all went to the same school. Some of us then went on to Maryhair, some of us went to other school, but there is one person. This gentleman here, he never came to the school. He was at Manchester, and he's the one that looked after the money, you know. I'd just like to thank everybody, so thank you everybody. Thank you all for coming up to the stage, well done. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to show you a DVD. This was from 1982. It was made on the 24th of May. And please be prepared to watch this. Okay, many people aren't here who are in the video. And we wanted to show you the DVD. It's a little bit shaky sometimes, but it's good memory, so please start the DVD and watch it.
How do you feel? The tree is good.
Monty Goldring. Monty Goldring.
Monty Gold. And Monty
Oh, this is Rachel and Isaac. Rachel and Isaac Holder. And Lottie.
Lottie Holder. Oh, David. I don't remember that. Oh, yeah.
Annette.
Oh, did you all enjoy that? Did it bring back memories? Did you all enjoy it? People wearing big glasses, their hair was very different. Some people are much fatter than they were, body shapes have changed. It was nice to remember all that. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, now, there's a woman whose name was Fanny Rappaport. Is she up there? Yes, she's up there. She was the mother of... She was the mother of who? Ruth Morris. She was the mother of Ruth Morris and Jessica in America. Now Linda Smith. Where's Linda Smith? Is she here? Could she come forward to do... Okay, hello everyone, it's me again. Okay, we're going to be talking about Ruthie Morris and Jessica Duan, and they're from the USA, and this is for them, about her mother, who was named Fanny. Fanny Zipporah Rappaport. She was a beloved mother, a wonderful foster mother to some children from the RSJDC at Nightingale Lane. She took care of these children. She would foster them over the weekends and summer holidays. And then sometimes, some of them are here today. Me, for example, Ruth Foreman, Ubavka Popovic from the former Yugoslavia, Moshe from Persia, and Farida, who is from Brazil. And there was also Roy and other children that she fostered. She was a really wonderful, big-hearted woman. She died in 1995, aged 81, and I'm going to talk about her. about staying at her mother and father's for a long weekend. Her mother was a small little woman with a lovely smile, and she always seemed to be very happy. And I would go to her family, and they would really treat me well, and there would be lovely food, and we'd go out to the cinema, and we'd go to the park. And I will never ever forget her beautiful smile and her warmth. It was wonderful to know her. Oh, Ruth Foreman, she's actually going to talk about her as well. So Ruth, she's going to talk about foster mother Fanny, please.
In 1940, Ruthie's mother brought Ruthie and baby Jessica to the mansion at Havering House. And I was introduced to her. I was in the same class as her at Havering House, and as well as being in the same dormitory with the other girls, but I was on a different floor. I stayed with Ruthie's family for long weekends, away from school. And I remember her mother Fanny was my foster mother. I used to travel with Ruthie and Jessica by buses and tubes to their homes for the weekends and during the summer holidays, and to return to school afterwards. I joined with them at the flat in Hackney. I don't remember this at all, but it was on the 4th floor, and there was no lift. There was a balcony at the front, and I used to go to Victoria Park, which was near their home. I used to go with Ruthie and Jessica and Deborah. And Ruthie would also take their brother Kevin in the pram. I'm really confused about this, sorry. But they used to go to the park, and we went to see a variety of birds, including peacocks, and there were deer roaming with fences. I don't remember any of this. But I used to love to hold Ruthie's little sister Deborah's hand and take her for a walk. That was about 5 or 6, I think she must have been. And she learnt about the facts of life from her mother at a very early age. I remember her mother teaching her that. And then when she grew up, she became a doctor. So sometimes we go to the pictures together. And I shared a big bed with the children in opposite positions, so that we keep warm in bed. Fanny was short and slim and had black hair. Ruthie's father was kind of an average man, but they were both very good to the children. The family moved to a new flat at Aldgate, which is near Whitechapel, in the east of London. There was a patio, and I used to stay with them there for long weekends. In 1946, at the RSJDC, I wasn't in Ruthie's class, but we did share the same dressmaking, gym, and folk dance clubs. And I was mending boys' and girls' socks, and as well as being in the same netball teams. I was also in the same dormitory as Ruthie. But you know, I don't remember so much of this. No, thank you very, very much. Well done, Ruth. It's been a long day for everybody. I hope you really enjoyed yourself at this Holocaust Memorial event and the Royal Deaf School reunion. I think it's now time to bring the evening to a close. So well done to everybody. Thank you all for coming. And I hope that you all get home safely and you have a lovely weekend. God bless you all. And I think that there are some ex-pupils who'd like to come up. I wanted to pick up a particular story There was one day we were in the classroom, and Mr. Cook, the teacher, was at the front of the class, and we were practicing how to say K's. So you'd have one person say K, and we'd be corrected, and I came out with K, and everybody's going, I say K, 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 K. But the person at the end, I can't say who, but that person is in the room tonight, but I don't want to say who, because I want to say their embarrassment, was asked to say K, K, and then all of a sudden they just sneezed at the same time as saying the K. And a load of snot came out of their nose, and again the teacher, embarrassment, was asked to say K, K, and then all of a sudden they just sneezed at the same time as saying the K. And a load of snot came out of their nose, and again the teacher, right where I'm indicating, and Mr. Cook just looked at the child and said, "You come here," and the child cried, saying, "It was an accident, it was an accident." And Mr. Cook shouted at the child to come here, and she had to wipe it off of him, and all of the children were just dumbfounded and suppressing our giggles, but she had to wipe it off of his trousers and was very, very embarrassed. Anyway, teacher left Mr. Cook left the room, and we were going, "Oh my God, what happened? And suppressing our giggles, but she had to wipe it off of his trousers and was very, very embarrassed. Anyway, teacher left Mr. Cook left the room, and we were going, "Oh my God, what happened? So she said,
got my chair.